And so to introduce you to the argument paper, what that might be. So we're going to be looking at mitigating climate change. We can't stop climate change, but it's something that's very impactful. That sort of movement started in the 1970s and was an important movement, but most people, so Earth Day, things like that. But a lot of people thought it was all about hippies, and we had other things going on around then. So um, a lot of people didn't pay much attention to it. And then it's only recently that that has kind of come back into the public focus because we're beginning to see some kind of crazy stuff. We're seeing weather we've never had here before. We're seeing water shortages in places we've never had water shortages. And it's getting hotter, way hotter than it's ever been. If we were looking at a map of the world in terms of the increasing temperature, the United States is having problem. The hot countries have always been hot, but now this has been a very wonderful temperate climate. And it's not going to be temperate in your lifetime, it's going to change. So part of that's because of the way the um, carbon dioxide being released from burning fossil fuels is one thing, and methane is the other thing. Methane is probably worse than the release of the carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide comes from burning gas, so cars, and the methane comes from a lot of things. In particular, meat is probably the production of meat produces quite a bit of methane, just the whole process. Even studies now indicate that cows belching produces a ridiculous amount of methane. You wouldn't think so, but we have millions of cows now, so we didn't have that before. Wasn't a problem before. And if you think about the Earth as being round and the atmosphere being sort of a blanket around the whole thing, what normally happens is the sun's rays come in and go out pretty regularly. When you burn a lot of CO2 and methane, then what happens is when the sun rays come in, they can't get out. A lot of them can't get out. And so they keep bouncing around. And after a while, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, which is what's going on because now we have this blanket around that we never had before. Um, some people think that climate change is just cyclical. And yeah, there's a certain amount of it that is cyclical. But this new thing, this new problem is actually man produced. One of the problems is there's too many of us. There were never this many organisms on the earth before. And with man, not only are there a lot of organisms, but we've destroyed some of the environments that protected us. Rainforests, for instance, that's being that's really being destroyed now because of the current government of the country where most of it is really just letting it be destroyed. We know there's very important in terms of the oxygen in the atmosphere, so that the fewer trees we have, and there's a lot of trees there, then the less that we have the CO2 trapped in the leaves of the trees, in that process where they release the oxygen. So that's important. More important than that is the ocean is becoming more acidic. What that means is that the little tiny organisms that used to grow there that release oxygen are not being able to survive. They don't live. We get 50% of our oxygen from the ocean. So the worse off, the more polluted the ocean is, then the less oxygen you have. So that combination of burning fossil fuels, destroying the rainforests, and polluting the ocean is going to make our ability to breathe difficult. We're losing more than 1 million trees every year in California just because of the increasing heat. That's not counting the fires, which are burning all kinds of trees. Um, so all the stuff that used to work to maintain sort of a very temperate environment is not working anymore. Um, if we looked at a map of the world and when we look at the heat in the hot places, Southern California in terms of water is one of the most endangered places. California for years has relied on using the groundwater, and the groundwater takes millions of years to kind of seep through the earth and then it pools in places. So we've been using that for a long time, and farming in particular uses a lot of it, the type of farming we do. So that we're getting to the end of of that. We maybe have 10 years left, something like that. At which point, if it doesn't rain in California, then there is no water anywhere. We used to get water from the Colorado River, but that relies on snow. It's not because of the heat, there's no snow anymore, so that water is going away. Um, so all of these things are converging to produce kind of a scary sci-fi situation where, you know, it's critical that we get off our butts and do something. You know, just because it looks nice outside, it doesn't mean that that's going to be that way in 20 years. Just hard to imagine that it's going to change so much, but it is. In other parts of the world that don't have the resources we have, they're feeling it. We have a lot of resources, so we've been able to protect ourselves a bit, but at some point we can't. It won't happen anymore. So the paper is going to be about, in some way, mitigating it. It's going to happen in your lifetime. We've gone too far. So how can you slow it down so at least you have a quality of life? How can you do it? It's important. So it's kind of why we're looking at it. So for the long term, and really for the, I guess for me, it's 20 years is sort of short term for you when you think about it. You're going to live another 50, 60, 70 years. You're going to live a long time. So if in your 40s you're all of a sudden having problems, if your children are not able to see the stuff that you used to have, there's no more what they call cumulus clouds, those big, puffy, cotton-looking clouds. Those are going to go away. So there's going to be a lot of things changing. They won't, maybe won't be trees you can take them to, see. It may not be pleasant to go to the beach anymore, all that kind of stuff. So it's stuff it's serious stuff that we want to work with. There are things that can be done, but it relies on our initiative. If we want to do it, if we don't want to do it, okay. You know, we can just all kind of die, I suppose. So that's what the paper is going to be about. In order to write about it, you guys are going to need to do some research. So I have some handouts here I was going to give you, a whole box of them, actually from other classes where they've done research. So I need to take those things and make JPEGs out of them, which is going to take me 5 or 6 hours, I think. So I'll do some of that. I'm not sure how long I'm going to do it, but I'll do that. And then what you guys have to do is be able to do research. So we're going to look at a little short 7-minute video from the library, excuse me, and the Felicia that does the normal library introductions is really good, and she's going to show you the site and what to do, how to sign in, how to do some really basic searches, how to do, say, a citation for it, because it's kind of automatic. And I'm going to add to that a little bit after we've looked at that. So let's go ahead and do that part now. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to let her talk.
Here at Rosemont College. I'm making a short video to show you how to access library materials from home. If you're working on a research paper or a project, I hope this will help make it easier for you to get the articles and books and other items that you need for your research project. I hope everybody is hanging in there. I know this is a very difficult time and we're all going through a lot, but please stay home and stay safe and healthy. That is the #1 priority, okay? But here we are, we're on the library homepage. I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration. You can get here by accessing the Student Services menu on the Rosemont College site, and here's the link to the library. And then when you land on this page, you're going to see the one search box here. And you can go ahead and type in words for whatever your topic is. For example, recycling, hit search, and then we get into some of the search results. Now, the library has a lot of different things. So depending on what your topic is, you might see more newspaper type articles or more books or more scholarly journal articles. Results will vary. What I'm looking at here are a couple of books about recycling and, of course, articles and things like that as well. As you can see, some of these are indicating they are peer reviewed. Now remember, that means that before this article could be published, it had to be reviewed by other scholars in the field. So that adds a layer of a higher standard to the item. That gives you another layer of vetting, I guess you could say, to ensure that it's a good quality article. Now, what you'll probably want to do is select the available online filter, which is over here in the left hand, because you want to make sure that you're getting things that you can access from home and not books and other items that are in the library right now. So I click that. It doesn't change my results too much because I already had a bunch of ebooks and online articles here front and center. As you can see, many of these are saying available online. Knowing what it takes, how product transformation salient. Okay, let's look at this one from the Journal of Marketing. So I click here and I go into the record, and there's a section here right in the middle that tells me how to view this online. Okay, now note above that, here's the article information, and here's some other useful tools you might need to cite this article, for example, for your paper, and this gives you a citation you can copy and paste. It's in MLA style by default, so you might need to switch it to APA. You can also get a permanent link here, and this is very helpful also for your works cited list. Make sure that you can give your instructor the link right here back to this item. And don't use the link that's up in the browser, because that one will expire and it won't work. And so here's where we access the full text online, and it's in EBSCO Business Source Complete database. And now I'm being prompted to log in. It's a totally normal thing whenever I'm accessing the library from home. So you'll put in your first name dot last name. And then for students, the password, it says your 6-digit PIN. And note that's your 6-digit date of birth. 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 2 for the year. And if you're faculty and staff, it's going to be a network password. It's your typical password that you use for your Grossmont email and everything. And go on right through to the article. Now here's where I can get the PDF full text, and again I can download, print, etc. The full article from here, and this is another record that just gives me information of the abstract, the short description of the article, and the subjects that are covered in this article. Okay, here's PDF full text. And I just want to show you, so this will be your last step to get this full article here at home. And there it is. And here's where I can print, download, and everything. Okay. And it's a really good idea as you're doing research to keep track, either copy these from a link or email these items to yourself so you don't have to go back and find this again. And once you have this permanent link, you can click on it and it'll bring you back to the page. Let's take a look at one of the books. Now over here on the left, I have a lot of different filters I can use, and I'm not going to go into all of those, but I want to point out resource type. So if you wanted to narrow it down to just books, you can also click on books as your resource type. And here we go. Let's go ahead and look at this ebook about recycling. So you'll see that it's very similar to what I just saw. Right here, it says view the full text. Often there's a name of a database here, like Gale or EBSCO or Springer, or it may just say view the full text, but this is what you're going to do, view the full text. And then if you have any issues, you can always contact a librarian online. On our website, we have a chat link there, so you can reach out and chat with us, and we'd be happy to help you. But here's an example of me looking at it. Now, I didn't have to log in again because I already logged in the first time, and it remembers me. If I start a new session or I use a different computer, a different browser, then I would have to log. So here's the table of contents for my ebook, many different chapters about recycling. And just remember that when you're using an ebook, it's good to look through the table of contents because you might not need to cite the entire ebook. You might just need to use a chapter or two that are really right on topic for you. So that is the quick and dirty version of how to access library resources from home. And I will have a few other videos that I'll be sharing if you're interested in some more advanced search strategies. But I do encourage you to explore some of these filters here on the left, like the subject filter, which really helps you figure out how to get down to the most relevant articles that are really on your topic, you know, like recycling. I could click this if that was more specific than the ones that I mentioned before. Okay, good luck everybody. Stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.
So that was a really fast introduction. It's going to be in the recording here so you can look at this, and it'll be in this recording. And then also, I'm going to send you that link so you can look at that link if you just want to look at that part of this video, because you may not need to hear all about this again. A couple of things I wanted to point out that she was talking about. When you actually find this article that you're looking at, they're going to have an abstract, and the abstract is useful because it tells you, like, it's a little summary of what's going to be in the article. So you might want to just jump into the abstract and look at that and make sure that, you know, this is going to be something you want. And the other thing is make sure it has a full text. It says full text, whatever it is. Usually PDF full text, because if it just has a little piece of something, it's not going to work for you. Resource type is really helpful. She pointed out subject type, and subject type would be when you break down your topics. She was looking at recycling. There can be smaller ways of looking at it, very more targeted ways of looking. You can click like that. But the resource type is useful because you can decide that I think I want to just start with, say, newspapers and magazines. The advantage of that is that the newspapers and magazines or journals are very recent. So if you want to know what's been going on right now, that might be good to look at. If you're looking at an academic journal, then the article in that is probably a couple of years old because it takes a while to write it. It takes a year or so to approve it. If you're looking at a book, some of those things are maybe 5 years old because it takes a while to publish the book. And occasionally those things get out of date. It's not that they're useless. It's just that you want to look at things that are topical, really what's going on now. The research on that was changing really fast. With the current government, though, they've kind of pulled the money on the environment. So most of it may be that the better articles are two or 3 years old now. But consider looking at it that way. She pointed out that you can actually do the citation on there. And so you can click on that and make the citation. What she was trying to make clear to you is that if you should be looking at a book and a chapter of the book, then the citation shouldn't be the book. You should first find the chapter that you want, click on that. And when you make the citation, it's just going to be of that chapter, which was, I think, a good point. So I think the search for that is they've simplified it quite a bit, which is great. Oh, we have a dog who's joined us. That's good. All right, and so next week we'll be working on not just the research and the citations, but you guys will have done a little research over the weekend, I'm hoping. Depending on how much you have to do with your papers, you may not get around to that. We have 5 weeks left. And so on Monday, what I'm going to be doing is talking about a works cited page, in-text citations, sort of basic things about the research paper itself. I'll probably have posted an outline and some handouts for that over the weekend. And then, so by Monday, if you have the visual analysis, we'll finish with that. Um, all these rewrites you're going to be wanting to get in as you can. We do have 5 weeks though, so but you want to time your space, watch your time, because I can't take things in the last week. That's just too late for me, because I have all my classes will be trying to give me everything on the last day, and I can't do that. So it'll be, if we do any revisions, if there's still left to do, it'll have to be in the week before the last class day, and then um, I don't want to give a final. It's possible that they're going to make me give a final. So if they do, it would be something like the Trump piece, but very short. A little simple thing, maybe 5 or 6 paragraphs, page and a half, and then you read that, and then you do a rhetorical analysis of that. But I would be giving you that a week ahead of time, and you'd have 2 hours during the exam time to do that. I'm hoping we won't have to do that, but it just depends on what the department's going to require. So we'll see how that all goes. All right, that's pretty much all we want to cover today, and so I'm going to stop the recording with that part,